States, it's warm. Our cold morning, anyways. Let's get right into our conversation. Don't forget, you can join at any point of the show. You can react to some of these trending national headlines that we want to discuss. Just leave us a message on WhatsApp, please. The number is 0807 777 9927. 0807 777 9927. A lot of interesting stories to touch on this morning in the next 30 minutes. Let's get right to it.
All right. Well, coming up first, the Senate tax reform bill controversy. Now, what are the specific concerns raised by Senator Muhammad Ali Ndume regarding the tax reform bill, and how do his concerns reflect the broader issues with the bill's introduction and debate in the Senate?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, it was not Ndume and Barrow, the deputy Senate president's argument wasn't about the bill per se. It was about the procedure with which, the government officials who were brought in to defend the bill, the way they were brought into the House. There is a procedural there are processes of introducing a matter before the floor, and it's aptly captured. It's usually aptly captured in the order paper. So what Ndume is objecting to is that it was smuggled in surreptitiously, that it wasn't the members were not prepared. So it's not in the order paper, so you can't just bring them in to start talking about a bill they were not prepared to. Then, of course, we must equally not forget the politics behind the whole bill. If you recall, a lot of vocal voices from the north have been speaking strongly against the bill. They've been speaking strongly against the bill, that it kind of it is lopsided in terms of remuneration to states, with Living Lagos the largest beneficiary of the bill. But then, by and large, I like I said, that on the surface, from what I have seen of the bill so far, for me, I think if it is properly tinkered with, I think it's okay. It allows a state government, to start thinking about producing, instead of relying on the federal allocation every now and then, every month. When anything happens, you rely on federal government to give allocations every month and things like that. It allows a government who can think outside the box to thrive. So you can create wealth and tax wealth in your state. So that's what it's saying. Then secondly, the bill also, leaves out people who are earning far below 1 million naira, and that is annually. So you don't get to pay any tax. So for me, well, those are, but until one actually sits down and read the bill, I've been reading the bill, I've been looking at the bill. It's quite an extensive, we have 4 bills actually.
Exactly. Yes.
So I've been looking at 4 bills, So it's quite extensive. It's quite an extensive read, But what the presidency is saying and the executive body is saying is that, look, we are not saying we are going to, adopt everything wholesale. That is why it's on the floor of the Senate, the House of Assembly, so that the Nigerians can debate on it. And to a large extent, I think where the problem seriously lies is that the poor tax education in the country. There is this tendency of seeing tax as a bad thing, especially for the black man. And that has to change. We have to really reorient ourselves on tax-related issues, tax education. And, under that, guys, I think you have to give it to Kwara Inland Revenue, Kwara Internal Revenue Service, for what they've been doing in the last couple of years since Malam Abdurrahman Abdulrazak came on board. This tax debate, tax quizzes that happens every year, and you bring secondary school to debate on tax. I think more of that should be done so that people get to understand that, look, the only way you can have an organic growth is when you grow wealth and tax wealth. That is as simple as that.
All right. I'm just going to ask you that again. You've spoken about it, but I want it to be a further conversation on it, on the education of tax amongst Nigerians. Now, is it that is there a worry from the Senate or the House from the National Assembly on why the bill should be passed or why the bill should not be passed? Because it does look like we have different camps. Some of them in the National Assembly speaking for the bill and speaking against the tax reform bill. Is there something that the National Assembly is not getting, or is it in the interest of Nigerians where there is this back and forth in the National Assembly?
Yeah, see, the thing is that you should expect things like that. Anything that has to do with allocation of resources brings about contention. Because you see, the status quo will always favor some interests. When you now come up with a proposal that tends to change the status quo, you're definitely going to have those interests come out and say, no, there's nothing wrong with it as it is. Now, the major plank upon which the argument is, especially from the north, is that most of that is the value-added tax, which is normally shared. It might significantly reduce what it's like the Kano gets. Because value-added tax, essentially, what the tax proposes is that, the state should, take control of the value-added tax instead of remitting it to federal government. So what it simply does is that, look, any enterprise happening in your state, you tax it. Then perhaps give some percentage to the federal. So, and I think the sharing formula is 55% for the state. Then I think local government gets about 30%. Then I think the remaining 15, I don't know. I can't be sure of the figure. Goes to the state. The state government. So when you look at it, you see that the states are the beneficiary. But again, you ask yourself, where exactly is production, manufacturing? Where is it happening? It's happening just at Lagos, Ogun State. Then perhaps Rivers, maybe, at the micro level, Onitsha, Anambra, Newi, So at the end of the day, you have most of the beneficiaries, the beneficiary state, potentially beneficiary states domiciled south of Nigeria. So that could be a cause for great concern for the average northern, interested person. You understand? Then apart from that, I think it's time every state government take an inward look, at the way the federation is currently structured. We've been talking about true federalism, fiscal federalism, and things like that, and this is one step towards that agitation. Trying to listen to that agitation, and let's not forget recently that the Supreme Court made an outstanding ruling, that seemed to utterly dismantle the National Lottery Service, that lottery and gambling thing should not be regulated by the federal government, that it's a state matter, and Hisba in Kano State has been happy about that judgment, because they are averse to certain things that is against the Sharia law, which is, I think it's legitimate. Their concerns are legitimate, because the Sharia is about defending the culture of the people of that place. If you don't defend the culture, you have chaos at the end of the day. If people say the use of alcohol must be regulated, fine, we should listen to those people. If they say decent dressing, so as not to pollute the environment, if that is what works for that society, I don't see any problem with that. You understand? So that is why you have Hisba, and recently they came up and said they are going to start strongly enforcing that law, after the Supreme Court ruling. So more of that, you see, but you see where the southern people, that have a problem is if you have no problem, clamping down on those, those things that we don't see as a problem down here, then you shouldn't share in the tax. Like alcohol, for instance, and other hoteling, you shouldn't share in that tax. So that has been a ding-dong that has been there. But I think by and large, there could be a resolution. It can be a meeting point, where, because at the end of the day, we are a federation. We are not a federation like the U.S. We cannot copy wholesale what happens in U.S. because we are a nation of indigenous nations. You understand? We are talking of people who are autochthonous to the land. They are aboriginal to the land. So it's quite different from the settler nationhood that you have in the U.S. So you have to take all those things into consideration, that there is a need to live in brotherhood, like the national anthem says. There is a need to live and a need to, at some level, share wealth, share responsibility, and share prosperity.
Exactly.
So what do you think the next step for the tax reform bill in the Senate would be? And how might the controversy surrounding its introduction impact the chances of passage into law?
You see, the good thing about Nigeria is that we know how to sit down and talk. You understand? So that is the only resolution. They are going to sit down. They are going to talk. But you see, as of this moment, I don't see how those bills will not pass through. I don't see. Because you see, you have to look at the man pushing the bill. We are talking of a man that is a dedicated apostle of taxation. He even has a company, a very, very big tax agency, been linked with his name, So, by and large, to a very large extent, that bill did not just come. It's not, he didn't just pull it from the heart. That thing has been long in coming. I think they are well prepared to push that bill through. So, and they have envisaged some of this opposition. So that is why you see a lot of, imagine Jibrin Barao, Deputy Senate, is from the north, but he's standing firmly against Ndume, who is a very strong voice from the north too. So that tells you. And the other day it was at the House of Rep where one of the legislators was saying that some of their governors are threatening them, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to make Nigeria work. Since when have you had that kind of a thing coming from the National Assembly members who are always beholden to their governor, to their respective governors in their state? So what we are talking about here is that, the man is fully, that is the presidency is fully prepared to see that law sees the light of the day.
All right.
And to a very large extent, positive thinking, progressive thinking Nigerians are somehow mostly aligned with that, the most of the contents of that law.
All right. Thank you, Nicholas. Let's get to another conversation. And this time, we cannot overflog this one because it's a concern to many Nigerians, and it has to do with the oil and then refineries. Oil marketers have, outlined conditions that will make them patronize, the newly rehabilitated Port Harcourt refinery. Now, I want to ask you real quick, what are the key factors that will determine the long-term sustainability of the Port Harcourt refinery, and how can the NNPCL ensure that the refinery operates efficiently and effectively first before we go to the disparity in the price of the NNPCL and that of the Port Harcourt refinery, I beg your pardon, and that of Dangote refinery? I'm sure my colleague will pick it up on that. But first, what are the factors that will be put in place to see that this Port Harcourt refinery runs effectively and efficiently?
I think the first thing that the first step has already been taken care of. The one that is ensuring that NNPC that refinery is not being run solely by government any longer. Now it is under NPS, that is MP, that is NNPCL. So it is not, and then with a lot of consortiums, involved. So it is strictly not a government affairs. And if you recall, over the years before, when it went moribund, when most of them went nearly moribund, was because it was, run by government. They just give a turnaround maintenance of humongous figures, and at the end of it, you don't see not a single liter of oil, petroleum is pumped out. But that is not the case here. We are talking of people who invested in something and they will want gains and they will ask questions. You understand? So, to a large extent, that one has been taken care of. So the next thing is making it viable. Already there is a demand for fuel in the country, but the problem is the prohibitive price. Because it is an economic mainstay. It is tied to most of the economic activities in the country, be it agriculture, be it ICT, be it anything. It is tied to it. So now, largely, with the kind of competition that we see happening, you have a Dangote bringing down the price, its pricing to 940 thereabout. Yeah, taking a 20 naira off the original, pump price. With that happening, and MPC are saying that it is essentially going to service its outlets. That is the NNPC outlets throughout the federation, and it's going to be at 1,400. That is, they have taken the first step. This is what we are prepared to sell. The importers are now saying, the marketers are saying that, look, you have to come down. Those are positives. If you ask me, that is the kind of things you see in a market situation. You don't see the governments coming in to say, no, you should sell it at this price. We have agreed, and everybody obeys the fiat. No, that is not what you are saying in this type of situation. But I think somehow, the essence of market forces is to find an equilibrium. and definitely they will find an equilibrium. And when there is equilibrium and the plowback is judiciously managed over time, then of course the production of the viability and production of petroleum from that refinery will be sustainable, because this is business, for sake of crying out loud. It's about business. It's about making returns, and when returns come in, then there will be need to continue the business.
Okay, so the market dynamics, though, what are the potential implications of the oil marketers' threat to boycott the Port Harcourt refinery if their conditions are not met? And basically, how might this, impact the overall supply and pricing of petroleum products in Nigeria?
Dangote will be smiling to the bank. That is the number one implication. Because because you see, now they are saying that they will go and import fuel. They will boycott the Port Harcourt refinery. And NMPCL is saying that they intend to strictly supply their outlets. You understand? I think that threat might not affect NPCL very much. But of course, for the sake of peace and equilibrium in the market system, they might want to have a talk. You get my point. So, but you see, let's not forget that Dangote is there listening. And that's the essence of market forces, market dynamics. Dangote will be forever happy to have that pricing, at 1,400 from MPCL refinery, that is the Port Harcourt refinery, will have it in place so that he can sell and make more gain, that is, make more sales. You get my point. So the point is that most petroleum marketers that are not supplied MPCL will go to Dangote. So maybe we might have a situation where Warri comes on stream, and I think one other Ogara too. Is it Ogara? Yeah, Ogara Petroleum refinery comes on stream too. So when you have all those three, you might have a different dynamics entirely. But you see, I envisage something like this, and for me, I think it's a big plus, that we are really having the real stakeholders talking and government not saying anything. So for me, I think it's a positive, really.
Okay, well, still on this pricing issue and everything, Dangote Petroleum Refinery said that its customers can purchase minimum of 2 million liters of premium motor spirit, at 970 naira per liter. Now, how will this Dangote's offer to sell fuel at 970 naira per liter impact the Nigerian fuel market? And what are the potential effects?
Maybe slightly, because initially when we discussed this reduction, I did say something that we don't know whether it's in the long term. I equally mentioned that I hope it's not just a Christmas gift. Then after Christmas gift in January, we have a different pricing.
So it's not sustainable.
No. What has happened now is for every 2 million liters is willing to sell. So anything above that is not going to be 920 naira. So that's the implication of that. So, for me, I think Dangote is testing the waters. Let's see how that goes. If he is able to if he can manage, there might be a further reduction. Well, this is my thinking anyway. This is what I would do as a businessman. Because some of these things, you have to look at it. If you were in his shoes, what would you do? To break even, you have a loan portfolio that you have to service, you have to maintain, you have to pay staff and things like that. So you tend to look at the long-term sustainability, not the short-term. You see, let us get one thing very, very clear. Dangote refinery is here to stay. I don't know whether you have seen the massive infrastructure that was put in place. Things that were, infrastructure, policies that were bent to suit that refinery. And don't forget that it's a multinational, interest driven enterprise. We are talking of, it's now fully keyed into the African fuel supply system. So projects like that don't just die. That is the thing. They don't just die. So what we are saying is that I think that it has to be sensitive. What Dangote is doing is it has to be sensitive to his local market first. Because there is this thing you call in business. There's this CSR. Is this CSR? That is being concerned about your immediate community where you are doing business, keeping them happy.
Of course.
If the immediate community is not happy, it might affect the business in the long run.
All right. Thank you, Nicholas. Let's quickly talk on Yaya Bello, former governor of Kogi State, who is in custody of the EFCC at the moment. First, what is your reaction to that? And of course, the court is saying that, they should remain in custody to December 10, which is the date they've been fixed for hearing, if they're going to get bail or not. What's your reaction to that? Because again, you've been quite vocal about the fight against corruption, and I remember a couple of times you mentioned that. What is the effectiveness of the EFCC if Yaya Bello, a former governor who's been indicted or has been alleged to have or alleged of fraud and is still on the run, but now in custody of the EFCC? How do you react to that?
See, the thing is, I'm not impressed. I am not, and I know a lot of Nigerians are not impressed. You see, the reason is we've seen things like this before. You see, if anybody alive had monitored the Yaya Bello saga, we understand that something is seriously wrong with fighting against corruption in the country. You see, for the first time, you are having the chief operating officer of an anti-graft body vowing that if it means he has to resign from his job, that he's going to prosecute Yaya Bello. It has never happened before. Now, within that period, more than 6 months interregnum, there has been hide and seek, and there have been different kinds of stories, varieties of stories coming out. He was here, he was not here, he came here, they told him to go, they came to my house, they said that I should surrender, that they have to, it must be seen that I'm arrested and things like that. So at the end of the day, what you just see, the perception out there, is that this is purely an orchestration. And let's face it, there has been a lot of when we had a similar scenario when this man, the former Ekiti State governor, Ayofayose, left power. You understand? In fact, what EFCC did at that time was unsalutary, if you ask me. They were making all manners of, the media trial, even long before the man, left office. And you can see the kind of drama with which he surrendered himself. Printing a jersey, printing a T-shirt and saying, EFCC, I am here. Look at the kind of sensation. Look at, it's like undermining law. And you can't blame the man. He's a politician. He has to pander to, the populist view. And he took advantage of it, and he made it look like he's been witch-hunted. So, you see, the other day, all of a sudden, out of the blues, we had the former governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, was also detained, arrested, and it was all over the places. So my point is this, if you can be as effective, in other instances, how about this man that is a member of the ruling party? Because we talk of people, scammers that you trace by the activities on the phone log. You talk of picking up people, journalists all over the places, by tracing their phone and going to their houses. How were you able to do this? And in 6 months interregnum, you put this man's picture out there. You said you can't find him. Where is that done? Where is it tenable? So what you have done here is, I can easily assume that is an RNG thing. Okay, you agree to submit yourself. We put you in a DSS custody, and after a while you are released. Then it's the ding dong of coming to court and dragging it for another eternity. Do you know how many governors are having cases? Ex-governors are having cases in the EFCC in the last 10 years, and no headway has been made. Members of the National Assembly that have cases in the EFCC, and no headway has been made. So this, to me, Yaya Bello's cases will only join the growing list of those cases in EFCC that are tied down by politics and the bureaucracy of law enforcement in Nigeria. So that is my first reaction. So for me, then of course, maybe somehow the odium of being marched out of the court, of being put into a van, might bring some senses into Yaya Bello and a lot of people who are like him, who think that there is no tomorrow, that as long as you are in power, you remain in power. And it's a very strong lesson. See, regardless of whatever immunity I don't know if there's any immunity whatsoever that surrounds him. Right now, I think he will be doing an internal introspection wherever he's been detained. Seeing his picture being splashed all over the places, being arrested. That is the almighty Yaya Bello being arrested, being detained, being tried for theft. Well, I call it theft, alleged theft of government money and, and other ancillary matters, So that kind of thing, I think he should do an introspection, and a lot of people who are in office should do that introspection too, because the moment you're out of power, you're out of power. Whether you put a godson there or not, you're out of power.
All right.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Yeah.
In his head. Let's hope that's what's going on. All right. So just to round off on the news analysis this morning, this conversation about the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission saying warning pilgrims against absconding on getting to the Holy Land. They are intending pilgrims to Jerusalem on December 22nd, 2024, and is warning the pilgrims against absconding on getting to the Holy Land. What's your reaction to
that? Some of we have said it oftentimes that for me, I don't see any reason why government should be sponsoring, pilgrims, and you put them on your bill and they abscond at the end of it. That should tell you that something is wrong with your economy. Fix your economy. Fix, what is happening. Fix those things that make them want to abscond. So it's only when you do that you can legitimately say, look, the moment you abscond, though, we close it, we shut the door behind you. You understand? So we need to have that kind of, you at this moment, I don't know whether they feel what is happening to Nigerians. It's so difficult for me to stay on air, and say, Nigeria, you shouldn't do this now. No. It's because I live and I feel the economy, and I know how hard things are, and I know how many young people that some of us have been encouraging that, look, it can still be better. We have tried to guide that, look, it's not all that bad. I know a lot of them that I talk to on daily basis. You understand? So a person sees an opportunity and decides to abscond. No. It's just like, there is this saying that I once put on air, which is that rationality ends where hunger begins. The moment there is hunger, there's no rationality whatsoever. You can't rationalize with that person. A man that is hungry, that needs to feed his family, has bills to pay, has to survive.
An angry man, they say.
Very, very angry man.
All right, thank you very much, Nicholas. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing with us from your wealth of knowledge again this morning. And we hope that you're having a wonderful time in Oka and Nambra this morning as well.
Yeah, it's all work.
Alrighty.
It's all work.
All right, stay safe, Anarchism. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you a lot, Nicholas Wanoye, who joined us live from Awka, Anambra State. Thank you. That's the size of the program this morning. We're back to your ears again tomorrow. My name is Dayo Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bay. Good morning.